Amazon just walked away from a data center campus at a Maryland nuclear plant. And days later the county board froze every new application. A North Carolina planning board told commissioners to kill a project outright. And 99 gas plants now plan to feed AI data centers could push U.S. power emissions up by a fifth. Here is what actually moved. We begin in Calvert County, Maryland, where a corporate retreat turned into a policy reversal in a matter of days. Amazon abandoned plans for multiple data center campuses on the grounds of the Calvert Cliffs nuclear plant, 3 campuses across roughly 200 acres, 8 buildings, 2.4 million square feet, and up to 500 megawatts supplied by Constellation Energy, which runs the reactors. Residents only learned about the proposal in February. By June it had become the defining issue of the primary election. And 3 sitting commissioners who had opposed a moratorium lost their seats. The board that replaced them then voted unanimously for a 6-month pause on all new data center projects, buying time for zoning changes or an outright ban. That same resistance is now shaping decisions in front of planning boards. In Stokes County, North Carolina, a project called Project Delta has now been rejected twice at the same stage. The county's planning board voted 5-2 against the rezoning request needed for the site near Walnut Cove, recommending commissioners turn it down. This is the second time around. Commissioners approved the rezoning back in January. But that approval was declared null and void in April after a lawsuit argued the public hearing notice failed to meet state requirements. The developer, real estate figure David Couch, filed a fresh rezoning application in July. Supporters point to a promise of 250 to 500 permanent jobs. Commissioners had already rejected a 6-month moratorium on a 3-2 vote. So the rezoning decision is now the whole ballgame. Elsewhere, counties are not waiting for a specific project to force the question. In Georgia, Coweta County commissioners unanimously adopted a 180-day moratorium on data center proposals. And they did it after already approving 2. The freeze halts the acceptance of permit applications, land use amendments, rezonings, conditional use applications, variances, and every public hearing tied to data centers. While the county studies how other jurisdictions are handling the issue and drafts a stronger ordinance. The trigger was Project Sale, a $17 billion campus pitched by Atlas Development that ranks among the largest server farms ever proposed in Georgia. One resident's phrase, quote, "on our doorstep," became the shorthand for the whole fight. There is a catch. 5 proposals already filed keep vested rights under state law and are exempt from the pause. What all of these projects need, more than land, is electricity, and the way the industry is getting it carries a cost. New numbers from Bloomberg NEF put a hard figure on that cost. Analysts counted 99 gas power projects planned specifically to feed data centers across 22 states, with more than a third of them in Texas. Together they represent about 126 gigawatts of on-site gas generation. Backed by Amazon, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic and a set of specialized data center operators. Run at an industry standard 60% utilization. Those plants would emit roughly 318 million metric tons of carbon dioxide every year. For scale, the entire U.S. electric power industry emitted about 1,485 million tons last year. So this single slice of infrastructure could raise national power sector emissions by 20%. Run flat out around the clock. Closer to a third. Power is one constraint. Water is the one that gets personal fastest. It got personal in Port Washington, Wisconsin. This week, Vantage Data Centers asked the city's Board of Public Works for permission to use 3 existing wells on its property during construction of its campus. Residents packed the meeting and demanded the request be denied. The room got loud enough that Chairman Mike Gasper, a city alderman, banged the gavel, called for silence, and at one point threatened to have members of the public removed. The board backed off and delayed the vote to its next meeting at 5:30 on August 25. Before it acts, the board wants a timeline and a sunset date for well water use. Metering data, written assurance the well water will not feed the closed-loop cooling system, notification if the wells are modified, and a plan for wastewater testing. State legislatures are drawing similar lines, just at a much larger scale. Oklahoma lawmakers gathered this month to mark the signing of House Bill 2992, the Data Center Customer Ratepayer Protection Act of 2026, authored by Representative Brad Bowles of Marlow and Senator Grant Green of Wellston, and signed by Governor Kevin Stitt. The law took effect July 1. It creates a new category called a large load customer. Any new facility adding 75 megawatts or more of demand, which sweeps in data centers, artificial intelligence facilities and cryptocurrency mining operations. Those customers must cover their own share of electricity and infrastructure costs, so that families, small businesses and traditional industrial ratepayers are not left carrying them. The law also forces transparency. Developers have 60 days after acquiring land for a qualifying project to notify adjoining landowners, county commissioners and the Corporation Commission. Even with that regulatory wave building, the largest projects are still moving forward. And the clearest example is in Effingham County, Georgia, where OpenAI has locked in a campus called Project Camellia. 4 hyperscale buildings will sit on roughly 101 acres inside the 2,600-acre Savannah Gateway Industrial Hub, just outside Rincon and about 25 miles northwest of Savannah. The number that matters is 3.2 gigawatts, contracted from Georgia Power over 25 years. Enough electricity to run 2.4 million homes, with capacity arriving in phases between 2028 and 2032. Private investment starts at $20 billion and exceeds $30 billion at full build-out. Cooling runs on a closed-loop water system. The county approved a 50% property tax abatement for 15 years. And even so, OpenAI is projected to become Effingham's largest taxpayer. The money behind projects like this is where the story turns strange. Because the headline number just moved by $145 billion. NVIDIA's residual value guarantee behind OpenAI's Pike County, Ohio campus was finalized at up to $105 billion. But NVIDIA had reportedly been weighing a backstop closer to $250 billion before the partnership was signed. That gap has analysts asking whether demand for chips at that scale is as firm as the market assumed. The guarantee is designed to help SB Energy, the SoftBank-backed developer, secure financing by supporting lease and power payments and guaranteeing the value of completed infrastructure if OpenAI were to default. The first 800 megawatts is targeted for 2028, on a site that could eventually reach 8 gigawatts. OpenAI still owes every lease payment. NVIDIA only pays if OpenAI cannot. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment. It helps us cover more of these stories.